different people. The one just below my, rather above my flat, he passed away because of this.
Oh, really? Oh.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
So I guess we are waiting for Binu.
Yeah, he's just joining in. Hey, Ahmed, how are you?
Hello, hi. Hi, Janet. Hi, everyone. Hi, Roberto.
Hi, Ahmed. And we are missing a few people. We are missing Russia. We are missing Mazen. Oh, Binu just arrived.
Yeah. Hey, Binu.
Hi, Janet.
We are missing Mexico. Okay, since we are recording, Binu, I think we can start in the interest of time. Hopefully some other will join later.
Okay, just give me a second.
So meanwhile, Binu is preparing to show you the functionality. So this functionality will be reserved to the GGMC. They will be creating the account for contractors. But I just wanted to show you, the functionality to understand what are the requirements, so what the GGMC needs in terms of information, and then to discuss the plan forward, so which geo unit to start onboarding, and how to go over with the process. I think important functionality. I mean, myself, I've been in your place for many years, and yes, the inability of having contractor using eJourney unless they had a LDAP account, which was always a lot of a problem because of HR, because of account, because the high movement of people. So it takes time to get the LDAP account created. By 2 or 3 weeks, by the time the account is created, maybe the driver is not driving anymore, and so on. So it's always been very complicated. So now we are going to have the in-house the ability of creating the account, and this way contractors can use eJourney and be independent. The other important things, by using the app, they will decrease the load on the journey management center. And this will help us in reducing the cost associated with the journey management center. Some information that Junaid has been sending around very often is that the average cost, let's say, of a trip that is managed directly by the journey management center with the call is about $7, let's say, more or less. It depends a little bit of a country and so on. So while doing it through Green Road Plus eJourney is basically free, or it costs a tenth of that. It costs less than $1.50. So multiply this for thousands of trips in each of the country. This is a substantial saving. I remember me and Christian, we discussed with ECP and we tried to reduce these costs, in ECP. So this is definitely a expected functionality, and hopefully it's going to help us increasing compliance and reducing the cost associated with managing contract. And good, Binu, if you're ready, you can show the functionality.
Sure, let me just show my screen. Are you able to see the screen?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so thank you everyone for joining. And as Roberto mentioned, this is a first step, I guess, we are moving towards to see how we can get the contractors to use our application so that they reduce the dependency much on GGMC and become self-reliant, right, on the app, or let's say on the digital solution which you are going to provide to them. Now for that, what we have done is we have created a separate module, an admin module, only accessible to the GGMC. Well, maybe it's more specific on that. And this is how the module will look like. So let me take an example of a driver. So we have a couple of modules over here. I mean, some functionalities over here. One, you can search the user over here. You can export the record, as well as this is where you're actually going to register the user. So let's say you clicked over here. So the GIN number, what do you mean by the GIN number is, this is specifically related to the Quest GIN number or the Quest ID. So I guess all of you are aware of how we create the non-SAP drivers, right? Or contractors in Quest. So based on that, an ID will be actually created, which is like the GIN number. And only those contractors who are part of Quest will be able to be registered in the system, and they will be only be able to use the eJourney mobile app moving forward after the registration.
So this is an important aspect. So the contractor that we wanted to have the ability to use eJourney needed to be in Quest as eventually as a non-SAP. When you created the non-SAP, a GIN number or a fake GIN number is created starting with 190. And this is the GIN number that is going to use by eJourney as well to identify the driver, and then to associate, all the other requirements, the training and so on. So the connection between Quest and eJourney will be the GIN number created in Quest once you set up a non-SAP contractor.
Okay. So yeah, you paste it here, you click on continue. So what is happening is it is going and it is actually checking the details of the driver, which is from Quest. So over here, you can see that you have these fields, right? The first name, last name, country, the GIN, and the alias. All these are non-editable, which means from here, all it's been received from Quest. Nobody can go do edit or do anything over here. The only option which is actually opened would be for the email and the mobile number, right? The reason is, for instance, the contractor can change his email address to maybe any other address, right? At gmail.com or Hotmail or whatever it is. And he must have actually changed it. So the mobile number can also change. So that is why these two are a critical factor over here. And both of them have to be, I mean, it's like you can go and edit it. The remaining source, like this ID, let's say your first name, last name, no. And as well as from the country level, right? Everything which you have pointed from Quest remains over there. And this is where we go ahead and we register the user.
So again, if you needed to do any modification, it needed to be done in Quest. Let's say that the driver is complaining that the name is incorrect, it needed to be changed and updated in Quest. If the country in which the driver is operating, which is very rare that is going to be changed, it needed to be updated in Quest based on the Quest data. The reason why the email is available to be edited, because in Quest we put typically the email of a Schlumberger person, a contractor manager, and so on. So in order for the driver typically to receive a credential, reset the password, and so on, we'll need to have an email address. So this is where you can put down the personal email address of the driver, of course, if the driver consents on the use of the email address. Or otherwise, because not all drivers will have an email address, it can be the supervisor of the company, or the dispatcher of the LTC company, or an administrator inside the LTC company. Obviously, this person is going to receive all the credential, and then we'll need to manually pass the credential to the driver in a different way, by text, by a piece of paper, and so on. And then anyway, when the driver is creating or log in for the first time, will be able to change the password, so that in this way security is respected. But for those drivers that do not have an email address in this field, you needed to communicate to the GNC, and the GNC will insert a company mail for the LTC, whatever is the administrator, their supervisor, their coordinator, their dispatcher, and so on. But you needed to have an email address in order to be able to send the credential. And the phone number, of course, here will be the phone numbers of the driver, because it will still need to use the phone in order to use eJourney. So we'll have to use the phone number of the driver. There was a question. I think someone was asking a question, and
I was just making sure that I was just trying to make sure that the email address is okay to assign to a supervisor of this LTC company. It's pretty much like what we do for Greenwood account nowadays. Okay.
It's the same I was doing in, when I was in OneSteam, a lot of the LTC didn't have a personal email, or they didn't want the driver to use personal email. So it was going to a email that either the LTC has created specifically for us, was like Schlumberger at whatever was the name of the contractor.com, or the supervisor. So yeah, you can use one email for 10 drivers, 20 drivers. Just that that person will receive all the notification related to the driver, because in the system is associated to that person.
Perfect. Thanks.
Okay, so I guess just for the demo purpose over here, I'm just going to add my address, and let's click on submit. Yeah, new user is registered successfully. The name, you get your username, which is your alias over here, and an activation link has been sent to this particular address. So you have an option to go back to the dashboard, or you can just continue to click and register the new user here. So let me just go see if I see the
And again, this will be done by the GGMC. Just in this way, you understand which are the requirements. So you can send, an Excel sheet, and will show you, which are the data, with the GIN number of the driver you wanted to activate in eJourney, the email address, and the phone number. Then it will be done. All the driver will be uploaded by the GGMC.
Okay. I guess it's taking time. But,
So once the account is created, if you have the personal email of that specific driver, the driver will receive an email of activation, like any time you create an account in any application, website that you use, you will get an email say, hey, an account has been created, click here to activate your account. If the email that it was used or submitted to the GGMC is the one of the supervisor, will be the supervisor of the LTC company to receive the activation email.
And these credentials, once granted, they are permanent, or they also?
No. Actually, as soon as the driver logs into the system for the first time, he will be required to change again the credential. Why this? Because we have this supervisor issue. Not always will be the driver receiving directly the credential. In order, again, for IT security, in case it's the supervisor will give the temporary credential. When the driver is, entering the temporary credential, he will need to use the create a permanent credential. And then you can see that now the driver has been created. You have a reset password that can be used to reset the password in case the driver forgot it. Typically, this will be the case when the driver worked for us for a month. Then it doesn't work for us for 6 months, and he will probably forget about eJourney, about the password, and the password can be resetted.
Similar like eJourney,
yes,
Green Road. Like Green Road.
Exactly. Yeah. Similar like the mechanic of many applications.
Yeah, same.
What I meant, is it dealt like the LDAP credential get expired in 6 months time, or it continue to be permanent for a driver?
It's a good question. I don't know. Binu, there is an expiration to the password in eJourney?
No, for so for eJourney. So you mean no?
Yeah,
you
are forced to change your. Okay, fine. No, I think that is good, because it's first, the criticality is not as much as having access to the hub and to all the Schlumberger resources. Plus, we have this situation that drivers, are more occasional and not regular. So yes, I think it's a good idea not to force the 6 months expiration.
Let's see what happened here.
So this, Roberto, this platform will be used also for SAP people also, or only will be limited to?
Well, that is a functionality that has been enabled for non-SAP. SAP people can already use eJourney. I mean, eJourney 2.0. So this is a new version of eJourney.
But there are certain SAP contractors, like for example in Saudi, I believe that's what you're referring to, right, Mazen? People
Correct.
are contractors
Yeah.
and they don't have access to LDAP. So yes, we'll have to create, we'll have to rather register all of these SAP contractors, very similar to the process that Binu just showed us, and they can use it as well.
Okay. Okay. Because we have all SAP drivers here. We don't have non-SAP drivers.
Okay.
Same thing with Russia and the US as well. Okay. All the contractors are in SAP. In Australia as well, I guess.
But the
That
sub,
was
but the sub with the role account, it's normal like a Schlumberger guy who can log in with the new version.
Yeah. So basically, obviously like Roberto mentioned, the thing is that anybody who has SAP, they should be able to use their LDAP credentials and log in. But obviously, we have certain exceptions where they may be in SAP and for some reason, they don't have their LDAP credentials. I mean,
yeah, but it's two different things. So you have SAP, and then the SAP people may have or may not have LDAP credential. If you have LDAP credential, you can use eJourney 2.0 already using your LDAP credential. If you are one of these SAP person that doesn't have an LDAP account, so you are SAP non-LDAP, we have a lot of cases in in the US and so on. In this case, because you don't have LDAP credential, yes, you needed to have credential created, and in this case, it can be created through this way. So you have SAP, and then you have people that are SAP that have LDAP credential and people that do not have LDAP credential. So of course, to log into the various systems, you needed to have LDAP credential. This is the same for all the Schlumberger system. If you don't have LDAP credential, you can use this system to create an account in eJourney. If you have already LDAP credential, you can log in already. And it's the same with Greenroad. If you have LDAP credential, you can log in Greenroad.
But mistakenly, if someone use it, okay, even he is a SAP and have a credential, and he use this new platform, still he can have a logging, and still he can see the trips, and he can create trips. Yeah.
It can monitor trips. The trip creation in eJourney 2.0 is not yet present. Is the next MVP. But yes, it can use, yeah. So yeah, eJourney 2.0 and the regular eJourney are the same thing, are two just different user interface for the same database, for the same information. No? You can, it's like a logging in the web or a logging in using the app. So it's the data behind it is the same. So someone that has LDAP credential can log in eJourney 2.0 and will see the trip, or he can go to the website of eJourney, or he can use the eJourney app.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay, so as you can see, we'll receive the contractor will receive an email with this title like eJourney create password. So he has two links over here, and his details will be over here, right? Mobile number and all his details are here. He just needs to click here. Should really take him to this page, and click on submit. Password is successfully being created. Okay, and so let's see, we'll go back.
So this is the steps that what we are expecting the supervisor to do, correct?
Not really. This is something which the contractor, there are two cases, right? One, if the contractor has the capability of reading emails, when he click, it will redirect him to a page like this, and where he can do it himself. The other one is a supervisor doing it for him, right?
Yes.
So,
yes. No. What I'm saying, I'm talking about the people who have no email account,
okay.
no mail account.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
So the supervisor will create the initial password, but once the driver will log in, he need to change the password.
Correct,
Otherwise, this credential will be under the supervisor.
That's right. So this is an example. As a supervisor, I've already set the password, and I just hand it over to that person. Right now, he's coming to this page. He will enter his username, and he's entering the password given by the supervisor. Clicks on login. He has to change it.
And this could be just the only confusing thing, so that, for instance, if you are receiving yourself as a driver, everything, you needed somehow to create the password twice. You created the first time, and then when you log in for the first time, you needed to recreate it. But it's just to avoid this supervisor thing. So it will be a little bit more confusing if the driver has his own email and receive directly the login link.
Okay. So once, as you can see, once he set the password, he's coming back. It's the same person. And yeah, I guess that's it. It won't ask him again.
So, and again, it's important for the driver to know his non-SAP GIN number, because as you can see, that is used as the username to log in. So each of the driver needed to know exactly what is the fake GIN that has been assigned to him. My suggestion, if we are still giving the driver the card, with the 10 fundamental control, it can be reported there. So your GIN number, driver, whatever is the name of the driver, is 1900, and then whatever is the number. So it's always there. And then, people will remember after a while. And anyway, I think, once they log in into eJourney, they don't need to re-log in that very often.
Right.
So basically,
Also,
they are using their GIN number, whatever GIN number they have.
Correct.
Yeah. So they use
whatever
the
is
GIN
a
number.
real GIN number or a 190.
So the GIN number becomes a username.
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
which is different from Green Road, no? Junaid, in Green Road, they have a real username. No?
yeah, username and username. So
they will
also,
have two different usernames, one for Journey and one for Green Road.
Correct. Yeah.
So also the shortcut to be created is the same way that we do it in the beginning, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Correct.
It doesn't
For the
change.
MVP one.
It's the same app, actually. So
The same one.
I think Binu has some screenshot. In fact, I have one screenshot on one slide that I have. So we are going to use the same link. The link is not going to change. You will have an option to log in as LDAP or non-LDAP. So you will have that option in the beginning.
Is there a possibility as well to add it in the resources in the main My Hub, to have like eJourney version 2, so people can directly go to the resources and they will go to the link itself?
I think that needs to be done. Yeah, it's pending since a while to update what we have there on the hub. But yes, we can add that in the resources as well, I guess.
But I would strongly prefer that you have a shortcut or something over there, because
on the phone.
I'm not on the phone itself, because I'm not sure how many people have access.
Yes,
how many people access it through the phone, right? Because it has to be
that's a problem, no? If you are LDAP, you can go to the My Hub, but if you are non-LDAP, you cannot go to the My Hub. So the best way
for Schlumberger drivers to as well to refer to that link whenever they need it.
If you remember, there was this one poster we circulated. I'm not sure whether it's being used at the moment, but there's this one poster which actually has the link of the eJourney mobile MVP version 1. So I mean, it's the same link. If you have circulated that to drivers, they will probably see that link as reference if they have it in their cars.
Yeah, always. Actually, we have translated as well to Arabic as well, right?
Yes.
It's the same one.
The same one, yeah. The link doesn't change. The link remains the same.
Okay, and the same way to create a shortcut as well.
Exactly the same. There's nothing different with it. I mean, the only thing that will change is the login screen. You will have LDAP and non-LDAP logins, but apart from that, everything remains the same. From a user experience, things don't change. Obviously, as a non-SAP person, you will need to know your GIN number and login. For a person who's LDAP, they will log in the same way as they used to do before.
I think it's clear, the methodology, the way it is working.
Yeah. So like Roberto again mentioned, Binu and Roberto mentioned, this is all of this that you're seeing here right now is what the GGMC will administer. Obviously, we will need some support from locations, and the guys from GGMC will coordinate with all of you guys to create all these new accounts for all the non-SAP guys. But apart from that, all of this will be administered by the guys in GGMC. Very similar to what we do for Green Road.
To me, it was important to show the password thing and the data that are required in order to, register the various individual.
Yeah. So Okay, so I just thought that I will just highlight one point here. You can see on the screen, I've taken one particular contractor and I'm trying to add him. You see that the country is missing here. Correct. I hope everybody in the call is seeing the country is missing here. This is because this particular contractor was not being mapped in Quest. So what is the fault that is going to happen here is, if at all, and I think we are not going to actually submit this or register this user, if at all this is getting submitted, because there is no node registered for this contractor, even if you register him, his strips will not be visible. This will be a big problem. So I think already we started the communication. We have sent it out across to a couple of HSE managers and people who are concerned or related to the Quest. We need to get the contractors list revised before you actually give it to GGMC to get this particular part registered. Because for any reason that contractor is not mapped, they will try to add him. This is the scenario.
No, but that is okay, because now what we needed from the various GeoUnit is the list of the contractor to be activated. So when these contractors are activated, the check needed to be done that these people are properly mapped in Quest. They have, of course, all the driving training that is relevant to them assigned, because otherwise everything else will not work in eJourney as normal. So it's a good time to do the cleanup. But I imagine that when you send an Excel file with 50 contractors, these are contractors that are already in Quest, created as non-SAP, and mapped correctly in the correct country, in the correct node.
So Janet, does this the new eJourney for contractor, is there a plan for integration with Green Road somehow?
Well, so there's no plan with integration there's no plan for integration yet, but yet in this year, but yes, there's a plan by next year. The idea is to have one single application where you have both Green Road and eJourney integrated, and not use multiple apps. That's the plan.
So we have various stages of development of eJourney 2.0. The next one we needed to decide, but the next one most likely will be enabling the approval, because it's easy to be done and coded and so on. So because today what you can do in eJourney is just following up on the trip, starting the trip, doing the rest stop or the check-in and stopping the trip. You cannot create yet, and you cannot yet approve. So the next step will be the approval. The next step will probably be the creation of a trip directly in eJourney 2.0. And then we are going to see a new functionality to be added. Definitely there is the interest of merging it with Green Road, automatically starting Green Road and something like this. Is of course now we are talking about one application that is internal in Schlumberger, and another than an application, commercial application. So building the connection will be not easy. But if we can do something integrated, definitely we are going to do, and then maybe integrating with other aspects. So the idea is growing eJourney and becoming the one platform for managing trips. But we are looking at several months, 1 year plus type of development. It's not going to come very, very quickly. So just to set expectations. So, and it depends on the money. And you know very well that money is not readily available. So every one of these steps costs us some money, and so it depends on budget and funding. Salah, I think you have the question since a while. I see that you have the hand up.
Yes, you know that we're gonna deal and launching this with the LTC contractors, etc. Maybe I missed this because I have connectivity issue from time to time. But have we considered the Arabic translation and other language to be fitted in the platform itself, like what we have done as a good job for the eJourney itself?
So,
yes, it's already. Yeah, go ahead, Bino.
Yeah. No, Robert. Go ahead.
No, go.
Yeah, so
it's already available in multiple languages.
Correct. So, Salah, to answer your question, it is the same platform which you use today, the MEP one. The only thing which we are showing you right now is we have a provision right now to add the contractors, to give them a provision to use that same application which was launched at an earlier month this year. That's
so
it.
eJourney Mobile the new eJourney 2.0 is already available in English, in Russian, in Spanish, in Portuguese, and in Arabic. This is only the interface that the GGMC will see in order to set up the non-SAP contractor. So
Yes.
it doesn't need it to be in Arabic because the GGMC people are speaking English. And this is not something that the driver will see, or even you will see. This is something that is for the GGMC. I just wanted to show you that the functionality is now available, and we can start creating the account for contractors.
Thank you, very clear.
Then GGMC is able to edit the record, resetting the password, and doing some more magic. But this is not something that is actually affects you. You can stop contractor from being active. So, for instance, you have that contractor that is not working, or that transportation company that's not going to be working anymore for many months. I don't know, the contract expired, there has been issues and so on. All the contractor that has been enabled can be stopped so they do not have any more access to eJourney. And then can be restarted when they come back also to work back for us. So, you can inactivate and reactivate the contractor independently from what is happening in Quest.
Correct. So as you can see on the screen, we have that functionality over here. So this is where you click and say, like, do you want to temporarily remove this person from the system? You say yes, and that's it. So this person will not be able to log into the system at all unless you choose to actually reactivate him back.
And again, this is all administration. So if you needed to disable, enable, you just tell the GGMC and they will enable and disable for you. Nothing gets lost in terms of data. It's just been stopping that driver from logging into the system. And maybe creating the future, creating trips when it's not working anymore for us, or these kind of things.
Correct. And in addition, what Roberto actually mentioned, let's say the contractor comes and says, like, I lost my mobile and this is my new number, to just get it registered, you can actually, there's a provision here to go back. There's an edit option to something which is already registered. You can go and you can again change your email address, and if required, the mobile number changes, you can change it over here. So you can keep a record of that.
So it's not linked with the Quest if the drive, if for example, the contractor had been deactivated from Quest, it will not be deactivated automatically from the app.
So what would happen here is, and I think Junaid, I've actually checked it out, and I think I'll answer in this forum. So what is happening here is this record is independent from Quest. We're just consuming the value over here, and we're getting this contractor registered. However, if the contractor is nullified or removed from Quest system, right? It is ideally important that we inform the GGMC so that they can actually change it. In case if you are not informed, what would happen is the contractor might be able to log in, or let's say the contractor logs in, but he won't be able to see any record because the eJourney system consumes on a daily basis consumes this record from Quest. And since this person does not exist, there's no data to produce for this person. It's good as if he sees a blank screen. That's it.
He will not be able to see any trips or anything.
Exactly. But again, the driver will see his own trip. So if the trip has not been created in eJourney, the driver will not see anything. Will be able to log in, but everything will be empty. So if you deactivate the driver from Quest and you do not inform GGMC, the driver will be still able to log into eJourney, but it will not see anything because there is no trip because the driver doesn't exist anymore into the system. So it's not going to be a big deal, but for cleaning the data, maintaining the data, integrity of the data, is important that if you deactivate someone in Quest, you let also the GGMC so they can stop with that functionality that Bino showed, the eJourney as well, so that person will not be able to log into eJourney as well. Today is not a big problem, but tomorrow, when we have the ability to create a trip into eJourney, it may be creating some issues if the person can still log in, but is not anymore in Quest.
No, so Roberto, just to clarify, even if he logs into the system, it will be completely blank.
Yeah.
As long as if he's nullified, right?
So one last question for me, please, is that the number one DIM that we use in Egypt has been the Green Road over the last 11 or 12 months. So everybody in Egypt is issued with a smartphone, either from Schlumberger or from the LTC company. And now they log into multiple applications that include Green Road, some local GPS and stuff, right? And what I'm intending to say here is, what is the possibility of having one unique username between eJourney and Green Road? Because at the end we're dealing with driver level, right? So they hardly log into the Green Road, and now I'm introducing a new username and password. Is it something? Can we, for instance, change the username in Green Road to be the same username as the GIN number as the eJourney app?
We can actually. I mean, that's something that I had asked the Green Road guys before, and we can check with them to see if we can have, let's say the GIN number as a username for login. In fact, I think we can do that without. So Tamir, we can test this out. In Green Road, there's an option for us to change the username. We can try and change the username to a GIN number, and we can check if it works out. We have the ability
for the username is used to distinguish if you needed to go to the Azure login versus the normal application login. So I'm not too sure if they needed to see the email address, because in eJourney we are using a GIN number. In Green Road we use an email. In Green Road, what it does, if you see that the email is @SLB, it reroute the identification to our single sign-on and Microsoft identification. So I'm not too sure if it's going to work at just giving a GIN number or so on. We needed to see with Green Road.
I'm just referring to the contractors. They log in.
Exactly. Schlumberger people will still use the Schlumberger email address because they use the same in both systems.
Yeah.
It may be good to have the non-SAP using the GIN number, so they have one same number that they needed to remember. I'm not sure if it's possible, so we needed to check that.
So let's have a look on this separately. The last time we tried to change all the username to only digit numbers, it did not allow us. Right? It need to include some letters. So
but I think it can be done. We had checked with Green Road before. This is around a year back, and they said they can enable us to change it to digits, because that's one of the things we told them, is that it's very difficult to remember usernames and so on. And they said they can actually change it to numbers if we request. We just never got to that request later on.
Okay, we'll take it separately then, but thanks.
So Junaid, if there is no any internet connectivity, this will be you will not be able to use it, right?
No, we can. It needs internet connectivity.
Because they needed to download to see what are the active trip for that driver. So at least in the moment when there is the download, they needed to have a connectivity of some kind. But again, this is used to start the trip, stop the trip and so on. So normally you will be in a place apart probably from the check-in during the trip of the 2-hour stops and so on, where you could be in the middle of the desert or in an area without coverage. Normally, when you start, you will be in some kind of base or facility, and when you arrive, it will be similar. But he needed to check anyway the active trip and what are the conditions of the trip, so he needed to exchange some data.
I think also here we need to push that if in some locations that you don't have connectivity at all, even no internet, especially the remote area. So we need to push the drivers that when he asks the admin to close the trip for him. Otherwise, if he calls the Global Journey Management Center, we end up with a cost for the whole. So all our efforts will go.
Yes, correct.
Actually, we have a lot of locations where there is no connectivity.
Correct.
Normally nowadays, if you have a phone connectivity, so if you can make the call via the mobile phone, you have also maybe data connectivity. You have Edge maybe, which is before even 3G. But this doesn't require many data, and it can be a bit slow, but it doesn't require too much data consumption. So if you have a mobile phone coverage, where as you were saying, Mazen, or the person may be calling the GGMC to say I'm arrived, should be having also some kind of data connectivity. You cannot download and look at the movie, but you should be able not to send, the little information that are used by eJourney. Otherwise, yes, that will be possibly a local process to inform the local administrator or a local Schlumberger person that has connectivity to close the trip for you in the system.
Correct.
Any more questions? So again, this is something that the GGMC will handle and manage. What is required now for you is compiling the list of active drivers that needed to be set up and be able to use eJourney Mobile as a way of starting trip, stopping trip, and doing check-in during the trip. Now, when you are compiling such a list, it's important that you check in Quest that the driver is there in Quest, that is mapped into a correct node and has the correct certification assigned. So active, mapped, and certification assigned, and then you put them on an Excel file. And Binu, I think you have an example of the Excel file that the GGMC will require.
Correct. I think they might modify that, but I guess as a time being.
Yeah, and then we circulate these, which is kind of instruction. So yeah, you just need to have a first name, last name, and GIN. In reality, we needed the GIN, but no first name and last name. So in case we need or the GIN number is wrong and so on, we can check it out. Oops, we lost the sharing. So anyway, the first name, the last name, the GIN number. These are used just to verify, because in reality, it's the GIN number, the master data, that is required. Okay, it's coming back. Quest location, LTC company name, and country. But in reality, we don't need all this information. No, it's just required the GIN number. This is just to verify that everything is okay and that there is no error when creating the contract.
Yeah, Robert, just to add, I guess the mobile number is also important because it can
the mobile number, yes,
mobile
because,
and the email address, whether it's the supervisor or the.
Let's say supervisor or driver email. Of course, the driver's mail is preferred, but it can be the supervisor.
I think if you download the data from Quest.
Yes, needed to be active email. No one is looking at that email information. Is even active phone number, and so.
I actually have one slide. Can I share my screen?
Sure. Go ahead.
Just a second.
Man, Corona is over, man. Still, your hair is so big, man.
Stop commenting about my hair. This is the 4th time I'm listening to it now.
And Mazen, I see you. So many years since last time we saw each other.
Man, it was a couple of years, long time back.
It was probably 10 years ago, exactly.
Yeah, around. But still with the white hair.
It doesn't get any darker with the years, so I'm sure about that.
Same.
So go ahead, Junaid.
Yeah, so I just put one slide together for all of us to take a look at. So we have, obviously, this is the login screen on the right-hand side. You can see this is what Binu showed us earlier. From a user point of view, the person will see an LDAP login and a non-LDAP login. So a contractor will most likely click on this green and put in his username and password, the GIN number and the password. So this is the only change that we expect from a user point of view. Now, the reason I'm sharing this table is just to give you some perspective of what we can expect, right? So we looked at the data for September, and what we had is approximately 100,000, in fact, over 100,000 trips that we have done globally. And these are trips excluding call out, right? So obviously, if you're a call out driver, you will not be able to use eJourney Mobile. You need to be registered in Quest as a regular driver, and only then will you be able to use the mobile app in any case. So we are looking at this 103, 104,000 trips that you see. These are those trips which have been undertaken by drivers who are registered either in Quest or in our SAP. And in terms of unique drivers, we have almost 9,000 drivers who are doing these 100,000 trips. Now, if we then look by geo unit, again, for each geo unit, this is what the numbers look like. That we have, only 6,800 are using, or rather, only about 2,000 are using the eJourney mobile. The remaining 6,800 drivers are not using eJourney mobile, and this is where our opportunity is. If we break this down by geo unit, you obviously see Saudi right on top. US is not much because a lot of them are already using the mobile app, but the next one is Russia. So these are the two top geo units which are using which are making eJourney trips and not using the eJourney mobile app, and that is probably our biggest opportunity amongst others. Once again, it may not be a very good idea to go after every 1,200 or 6,800 drivers, and that is why we looked at the number of drivers either doing between 10 or 20 trips or 20 trips or more. Now, depending on your preference, we can either go with this, we can go with this list instead of going with every single driver. If we try to manage getting every single driver on the app within a short period of time, it may be an administration and a practical nightmare for all of us. So my suggestion is to go with either this column, either go with, let's say, if we're talking about Saudi, we either go with 380 drivers, get them registered on the system, or we go with, let's say, a slightly lesser number of 357 drivers who are doing 20 trips or more for Saudi. And that is what my proposal is. Let's focus on drivers who are affecting us, in terms of using GGMC services more and get them registered first.
Junaid, I guess these are monthly data, correct?
This is only September, yeah.
This is only September, so let me impress the economical impact of this figure. So, for instance, in KSA, we have 1,200 plus trips that are done, using the call center. So this is $10,000 of potential saving. In Russia is $7,000, in OPG and in ECP, my previous geo market is $5,000. So when you accumulate, here we are talking about a month, probably $30,000, $40,000 that we can save as an HSE function if people are using eJourney mobile. And as you can see, the people that are doing 10 or more trips, or the people that are doing more than 20 trips, are basically the same. It's 380, 357, is 111, 105, and so on. So there are really aficionados of calling the journey management center. So these are people that for every trip they are calling the journey management center. So trying to educate them in using eJourney mobile now that this ability is available will possibly be the quick win that we can have in terms of saving money. Then there may be other reasons why they are not using, or they are using the journey management center and calling. Maybe because they don't have a mobile, because the LTC company doesn't provide a mobile phone or something like this. But let's try to focus on these people, because if we manage to have them converted in using eJourney mobile instead of calling the call center, we are going to save a lot of money. Maybe $20,000, $30,000 doesn't seem to be much, but in the current environment, that's a lot of money still.
Just to share,
yeah. Sorry.
Go ahead, Junaid.
Yeah. So just want to clarify, this 380 is not, or rather, this 357 is not included in the 380. So these are people doing anything between 10 to 19 trips.
Oh, okay.
And these are trips which are more than 20. So Saudi has.
So it's literally 700 people that you can convert. Okay.
So what we did, Junaid, starting from August and September, what we did, every time we received this data, we filtered them, and then we attack the HSC managers for each product line or each business line, and I give them the highest 5 for each product line. The highest 5. If you start slow, we can achieve. One of the call that I did with artificial lift was 3 drivers, only 3 drivers. One of them was doing 45 trips. And my question was to them, and this we started this from last month, and I asked, see, first to approach the driver to understand from them why they are not using. Maybe they are not aware. That's so the strange thing that when I contact this artificial guy, he said that yeah, I downloaded the application last week. So it means that the guy was not aware. So I think going back to Roberto, yes, it's not easy to contact each one, but I think this is the best exercise that you go, you every month if you highlight the 5 highest user, and you ask the HSC manager for that business line to help you, then you can at least the people who are not aware they become aware. That's the first thing, yeah,
right.
which is pulling our legs.
Yes. So the other thing you may be familiar with, something we do with Green Road, for example, we have the first level support at the GGMC, right? So when we have user problems, login problems, or people are not logging in, for example, we get the GGMC guys, or the GGMC guys call up these drivers and they do troubleshooting. For example, able to log in, password issues, all these sort of things. The GGMC guys contact these guys, the drivers, and then they sort out or do the troubleshooting for them. And that is something we will take as an approach even when we are trying to get this out to all our drivers, right? So if we have troubleshooting issues, and we know the list that we are targeting, we can get the GGMC guys to jump in and call up the drivers. It may not always be very practical for managers and all of these people to, follow up with drivers, but we can definitely use the people we have with the GGMC. So we are preparing accordingly. The other thing that we will also try and help with, in fact, we will definitely work around with, is we'll give you this list of drivers. This is 357, 380, whoever this list is, we will send a list to all of the different geo units we have across this entire list. And you guys can take a look of who's doing how many trips, and you can tell us who are the drivers you want us to target. Provide us the information in that list, along with their email addresses and mobile numbers. We will register all of these drivers in the system, and then we can start targeting these drivers in ensuring that they actually use the app.
Sounds good.
Yeah. So the other question I had, and probably all of you to answer, do you think it will be a good idea to actually run a pilot for this month, for the next couple of weeks? Because obviously we are going, we are just starting with this, and we are doing our UAT this week. The GGMC guys are running this UAT, and we do not foresee any problems. I mean, the guys in the Shambaji IT, Binu and Ahmed, and all of these guys have put in a lot of effort in making sure that all the loose ends are taken care of. But we are still doing some UAT testing this week. Nevertheless, when we actually go live, we will encounter some problems, and for sure we'll encounter some problems. So the idea was to kind of do a pilot maybe with a couple of geo units before we go live with everyone next month. What do you guys think?
I agree.
What we can do is having every geo unit preparing the list of drivers to be onboarded, and we give the priority maybe to KSA just because of the volume and Russia. And we test in these 2 areas. So we have a completely 2 different land transportation type of exposure, languages, and so on. But everyone can collect the data and provide the collator to the GGMC. So maybe we do a pilot 1 week. If we see that there are no issues, we can start onboarding geo unit by geo unit, and all the data are available to the GGMC.
Yeah, so that's a good plan. In fact, before the end of this week, I will have this list sent across. Well, I'm talking about this list of people who are not using eJourney mobile, along with how many trips each of these drivers have. So I will circulate. I'll have the team circulate the link to each one of you. Well, before the end of this month, all of us can collect all the required information, like we mentioned on the call. And we can be ready for the 1st of November. But in the meantime, Saudi and Russia, we will actually start using the app and see how it works out for us.
So to conclude, I would say, do not delay, collect the data, prepare the Excel file. Definitely we are going to push in production. We are going to start giving priority to KSA and Russia to do the test. And then we are going to onboard all the other geo market, as soon as you get the data to us, we can onboard the other geomarket if there is no issue. And probably we are going to prioritize based on the saving that we can have. So ECP, Mexico, Kuwait, and so on, which are the one with the highest number of non-eJourney users.
I have a question here.
Good.
Do we have any problem of creating an account, or are we paying for this license? For example, I mean, in KSA, I will not go and see how many drivers making contractors, whoever today driving for Schlumberger as a contractor, even he has a SAP, I will put his name in the list of creating an account. Yeah. Since if we are not paying,
this is an internal Schlumberger app, so there is no license.
So there is no license, or we pay that cost.
It's not like Green Road. The Green Road is commercial, so yes, we have a pool of license and so on.
Okay.
So this one is Schlumberger, so no problem.
So that's the first point. Second point, back if Junaid, back to your screen.
Oh, you want to share it again?
Yes, I want to see that blue.
Sure.
Okay. So if I got confused between the LDAP user and the non-LDAP user, the title, maybe I got confused only, but LDAP user, LDAP logging or non-LDAP logging. So it's a bit, I don't know, because today, if a person having a GIN number, so he will have LDAP. Now, this LDAP is active or not active, but he have an LDAP. So I don't know, I get confused, LDAP logging and non-LDAP logging.
Right. Yeah. The terminology. So, like, for example, if it was Schlumberger login and maybe contractor login, that will make more sense.
Maybe we don't want to use maybe contractor never.
Contractor, it could be that is contractor as LDAP and so on. You can call it a alias login or GIN number login or something like this.
No, something
we can
something
think.
That,
we can, yeah.
Something
we can think of what is most intuitive. Let's also see what has the feedback of the people. LDAP is a bit technical, because what is an LDAP login, and we understand it, from the IT side, is the people that have an LDAP account and so on. For a driver on a land transportation company, they don't know what is LDAP, and they don't know what is a non-LDAP. They just know that the GIN number and so on. So. Maybe we can call it alias login or GIN number login or something like this. You can think about it. Yeah, good point.
I think GIN number is very known for all the drivers, so
yeah,
GIN will be easy.
Okay.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay, so if there is another question, thank you very much for your time and the early hour or late hour, depending where you are. One last point that is nothing to do with the journey. Please invite me when you have an automotive accident review in your geo unit, particularly major incident or IPOs and so on. Send me the invite if I'm available, and it doesn't happen at 2 o'clock in the morning. I'll try to be there, and it's important to me. I also send out an email about asking you to send the early notification and prepare the early notification, of course, when you have an automotive accident rate, and send it to me, because we are creating a website where all the alerts are there and it can be shared with everyone. So instead of circulating email and sometimes they go, they don't come, you're not aware, you can have the early notification in the same page. You can go there every time in order to see what's happening in other places and in other geo unit. I already started, and I just wanted to show you quickly. And I call my sorry. Okay, this is the one. Let me share, because yeah. So I'm not sure if you're seeing, so this is what you're going to have, all October accident with the early notification, all September accident with the early notification, and so on. So it's a one page where you can see what are the incident of, the last month, at least the early notification, and you can use it, for improve awareness, for safety meetings, to share, what has happened somewhere else. Instead of going around with email that may not be the most practical thing. So yeah, when you have any early notification, let me know and send it to me so I can, populate this website, and invite me to the automotive accident review of this event whenever you're going to have them. And that's all.
So are you, Roberto, are you interested for the early notification that before this, the new format? Because we had a couple...
Yeah, the new format is supposed to be used as, it doesn't replace the thermal alert, no, the green, orange, and correct. This is just an early notification that normally is supposed to be used to circulate and inform the geo unit, the basin, the division of an accident that has happened. So it contains just very initial information typically. So normally this is issued, 1, 2 days, 3 days after the event, before the completion of the full investigation. And it's not just for automotive accident; it's also for injuries and any type of accident. Normally, the TNC of your geo unit should be having the instruction on how to use it, when to use it, and so on. It was started. I think about 2 months ago in August, so 3 months ago, something like that.
So what I mean is that I was the TNC for the geo market for the couple of before 2 months. So we had early notification on KSA format, before it gets a standard format. So okay. Do you want me to share that, the old one?
No, just the last, let's say, when we have the new format. So everything looks the same, everything at the same format, and information are in the same place, and so on. So basically, from August or from whenever you started in the geo unit to use the early notification.
Sounds good.
Good. That was all from me. Okay. Thank you very much. And yeah, you can always reach to me and to Junaid if you have any questions or issues or feedback about what we said today or the use of the new platform. Thank you very much and have a good day or good night.
Thank you, everyone.
Same to you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.